it's Melissa. In this video, I am going to show you how to add a cut line around a sheet of acrylic that you have already pressed onto. So these are white toner hard surface transfers, and what you're looking at is actually the back of the acrylic. So we are going to cut from the back, but there's no cut line here, so we need to add that. So what's helpful when doing things like this is to use the close capture view. So I'm going to pull that over in a few minutes, but first thing that I want to do is pull in the cut file for each of these little presents that all of them are going to end up being earrings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Import Image, and then I need to find those files on my computer. So these I know are downloads. I have them. Okay, so you've got various options here. This whole set is from So Fancy, so if you want to grab it, I'm going to link to it as well. There's like 30 designs. They're super cute, but we're using the presents. So what you see is I have these here, so I'm going to import each of them. So we'll start with this red one first, and once you get the hang of it, then you'll be able to do the rest of them. Okay, so one thing that is very challenging, I find, with xTool is that you can't see the design. It's very difficult and you can't fill it with a color, so I just find it very challenging. So if you have an area like I do here where you can where you can more easily see the design, definitely do that. Now I'm also going to try to zoom in just a little bit. This is not the camera, this is just me on my computer zooming in for you. Okay, so the parts that we need to cut are really just the outline of the present. So we don't need any of the hearts or anything. So I'm actually just going to delete those. So I'm going to go on there and then I'm going to select those and delete. So the black part is part of the bow. We do need that, and then we need the outer line of the orange layer. So what I'm going to do is see if we can ungroup that so it is not, let's see, there's multiple layers here. So I'm just trying. Okay, so we don't need this black layer, we only want this one here. So we will delete this, and I am actually going to delete this as well. And then I will put this back together here. Now I'm going to need to weld this together so that it all cuts as one, but let's pull it down to size a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do is, see how it's kind of difficult to see this orange? I'm actually going to switch it to a new layer by right clicking, and I'm just going to say switch to black layer. Not only does that give it a black cut line, but now everything is on the same layer. And then I don't know what is on green, but we don't need that layer, so we're just going to delete that. Okay, now we have our present. So let's move it over here. And this is, I'm going to pull it down to size, excuse me, by using the corner. Now, excuse me, this is where we talked about that it is helpful to use a closed view. So I'm going to do that in just a second, but first I want to try to get it as close to size as I can. Okay, so now the P2 has a camera, so this makes it very, very easy. Sometimes what you're seeing is a slightly off tilt, and that's why it doesn't line up exactly, but we want these to line up. So let's do a close capture view. So I just click that close capture view, and then I align it right over the area where I want to close capture. Okay, and that's going to be this area, and the camera is actually moving, it's actually, moving in the laser itself so that I can get a close-up view. And now I'm going to use this plus sign, and what I can see is that I need to slightly adjust where my cut line is. So in this case, I'm going to adjust it like this, and then it looks like I need to tilt it a little bit because clearly my piece of acrylic is not 100%. And then the same thing with the bow. Now I'm going to tell you a little trick here, and that is oh, I see what's happening. So this bottom part of the bow is not even part of this top, which is actually even better for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put an intentional offset around this so that we are not trying to cut directly on the cut line, because what that ends up doing is we are going to have a hard time doing that. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is we are seeing the back of our design. And so what's happening is our SVG, the cut line, is not mirrored, but the design is. So I need to mirror that, and that way it's going to align perfectly. So I'm going to select them both and then click reflect. Now, what you'll see here is now this is going to align, and I actually need to tilt it more this way. And we need to move this over. Okay, so that's actually pretty close in size. Let's just tilt this a little bit. Okay, I am going to now select both, and we can do that by clicking layer. And then what I'm gonna do is click outline. So when I do this, that's gonna create that offset. So we'll click outline. Do you see how it created the offset? Now you have to decide how big of an offset you want. I don't want mine quite that big, so I'm just gonna adjust this number down a little bit. If I put it at 5, it brings it in, and I think that's actually pretty good. So I'm just gonna keep that there. And then I'm gonna delete these other lines. I do not want those to cut. One last thing that I do need is, since these are earrings, I need to insert a circle so that we can make an earring. So I'm just gonna hold down Shift to create an exact circle. And then I'm gonna do the same thing where I'm gonna make an offset on that one. Now I'm kind of positioning it where I want it. And then I'm gonna click offset. I want the offset to be the same, so I click 05. Okay, now the last thing that you need to do is you want just the outer circle to weld to the offset line around the earring itself. So I'm gonna select just the outer circle and the outside line of this, and I'm going to click Combine Unite. Now, the reason I didn't want this inner circle to combine is because then it would disappear and we wouldn't actually have our earring holder. I'm going to select them both, copy, and then move them over so that we get the earring as well. Okay, so that is how you're going to do it, and then you're going to repeat that same process for each of these. Now again, we need to do it for 1, 2, these are actually all the same, these 4 here. So we need to do 1 more, 2, and then 3, 4. So I need to do 4 more of those, and once I'm ready, then I'm going to cut. So the cut settings for this is transparent acrylic, and then what I want to do is I want to make sure that my cut lines, and I can do this by just changing the layer itself, is going to be on output and cut, and it's going to reference the material that we selected, which obviously in this case is acrylic. So I'm going to go through now and add those cut lines for all the rest of the earrings. And I'm going to move the capture close view to focus on the other areas as I go. So I'll do these next and you'll see what I'm talking about. So now this is my close view as opposed to those other earrings, and I'll work through this set. This is going to take you a little bit of time, but if you are going to do this, it is definitely worth it. As I said, that little offset is going to really help you. Okay, so once you get all the way to the end, you finish all of them, your cut file itself is going to look something like this. Then you are ready to hit process, and the laser cutting will begin, and you are going to be amazed. This makes it so easy on the xTool P2 with the camera. The other xTools don't have cameras, and so it can be much more challenging, and I actually wouldn't recommend doing it this way. I would, do basically a file where you have the both parts of the cut file and the print file together so that it's easier to line up. But I actually prefer to do it this way with the xTool P2. When the cutting is done, you are going to be able to pop out the acrylic. And what you're gonna see, they look a little bit kind of like muted, but that's because you're seeing the back. So flip it over, take off the protective film of the acrylic, and these turn out absolutely adorable, big, vibrant colors. They have this like kind of 3D effects because it was printed on the back, and then you can just put your hardware in there, and they should pop out very quickly. If you have any trouble with them popping out at all, you can always put the piece of acrylic back down and then move the cut line as a set. I did find that while I have no trouble cutting acrylic at all with the P2, even clear, when you have the backing on there, you do need to up the power just a tad because it just adds an extra layer. And then all you're gonna do, like I said, peel off all of that backing and then put your hardware in there, and these come out really cute. So the great thing about this is that hard surface paper is relatively inexpensive per sheet. You can obviously fit a lot of earrings on there. This is probably only 1/3 of a piece of acrylic. So when you're thinking about margins, you get a whole bunch of different sets of earrings out of a relatively small amount of material. And so you can really, you could probably sell these earrings for, I would say, anywhere between like $9 and $12 a set. Even if you did it less expensive, you would still be making money because the paper itself is probably no more than $1.50 per sheet, and the acrylic itself, again, you're only using a small piece of it, and the toner is not, it's such huge amounts of toner that you really don't even, I mean, for this, I wouldn't even put it into the equation. All right, you guys, if you are looking for more tips, tricks, and tutorials on how to print on acrylic, I do have an entire series, so I will link to that in the description below, along with all of the supplies that you will need to do this. xTool P2 is the xTool that you're going to need to cut clear acrylic. And the iColor 560 is what I use. That's the white toner printer. It can obviously do a whole lot more than just printing for acrylic. It can print on shirts. It can print on paper. It can print plain white. You can use it to print toner black and then put foil on top. It's a super versatile printer that I love. So I will put all of that in the description below, along with the design files, because how can you not love these cute little presents? Obviously, they were supposed to be for like sublimation or something like that, but I love to use my files, especially my PNGs that are full color, for lots of different reasons, and this is a good one. All right, guys, see you soon.